Hello. I hope I am getting things situated here with lighting and whatnot. My name is Monica. You have made it to my mini course, and I am setting up my slideshow. I originally wanted to broadcast across more than one platform, but having a hard time. So it seems as though this is the the one that's going to work. So I'm going to wait for a few more friends to enter in the Zoom meeting. Okay. And I'm going to prepare to share my screen. So I have worked as a teacher and a coach for several years. It seems as though the pandemic had brought some interesting changes, at least to my life and probably to yours, and the reason why you're here. And I can give you a little bit about me before I start. So my name is Monica. As I just said, I'm a teacher and a coach. I'm also a singer-songwriter. So you can Google me. I perform as Nerd Queen. I do a lot of ambient experimental music. I've been around for a while, you know, but I've learned a lot in that realm of existence as a performer. And even before, as I was starting to teach more virtually, is when these things started coming up for my awareness, that noticing people need something more than just instruction. They need guidance. And I kind of already was doing that as a vocal coach for several years. But I held a virtual workshop almost a year ago, if not 2 years ago. I have to double check. I think it was just a year ago. But during that workshop virtually, and put on this presentation, I noticed a lot in the chat how people were responding to the things I was saying on how to be a successful performer. And you don't have to be on television. You don't have to sign a contract with anybody unless you want to, but that kind of thing. So there's a lot of mindset comments, limiting belief comments coming up in that. And it made me really think about how maybe there's a lot of people going through more than just a change of career. And so that made me think about my own spiritual practice, that what I do is so embedded that I didn't really think about how self-awareness plays a part in all of this, because it's so deeply embedded in me, that I really had to start thinking about that, because anybody can learn anything. It's just sometimes we need to get out of our own way. And sometimes it is about what we think of ourselves in the whole realm of existence at the same time. So yeah. All right, so I think I'm ready to share my screen. And I think we got a good group of people in. Hopefully the thing is this, I'm only one hosting, so I can't let more people in. So I'm sorry if you can't hear or can't get in. This replay will be on YouTube. I don't know for how long I'll leave it up, but it'll be there. So just keep that in mind. If people are missing out, just let them know. They can catch the replay. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let me share my screen. Okay. Hopefully people can see that. Let me start the slideshow. Here we are. And hopefully you are also taking notes. I kind of made this as open as possible for questions. I don't know how, you know what I can do? Yeah, I can use my phone. So I have my phone. I can jump on Zoom also really quick. So if there are any questions, feel free to put them in the chat while I, you know, sort them out. Let me jump in. All right, so this is how to begin your spiritual journey. And this is my life coaching, spiritual coaching, personal development brand, The Body Electric Supplement, because our bodies are more than just physical. And we need more to supercharge our lives. Anyway, so this is a beginner's course. Again, I am Monica. I'm a teacher, coach, and sentient being. All right, so many of you have found yourself here for one of many reasons. And why did you get yourself here? Believe it or not, when I did ask the other group what started their spiritual journey, I had a feeling that a lot of people are starting their journeys because of social media, because of TikTok. And I'm not judging, but I felt as though a lot of people didn't want to say that. There was about 40 responses to my question the other day, and only one person actually said it. But I mean, however happens, it happens. You know, sometimes, you know, it is what it is. It needs to be. But other responses that I got were maybe a life event happened in your life, a positive one or a negative one, something major that really disrupts your routine. You know, I think we all went through that with the pandemic. Some people felt drawn to their spiritual journey because they are feeling out of place amongst their friends, their coworkers, their family. They don't connect seemingly to others anymore in the same way and not getting the same fulfillment from it. And then some people started being curious, wanting to just learn more about the universe, more about God, more about the creator, more of what is beyond just this. And a lot of people are questioning. That's the reason why, at least in the last year or so, there have been lots of people leaving jobs, lots of people changing careers. It's because they are finally seeing there's more to life. Seeing so much of the pandemic effects on the world and probably in your personal life has really opened up a lot of people to ask, what more is there? Okay. And like I said, maybe even social media brought you into the world of spirituality. So welcome. Now, this is what I've been noticing a lot with a lot of new friends coming into the spiritual world, is because they are asking these questions, they are really having a hard time. And that's normal for people who are starting to become more aware. Okay. So you might be feeling what is called the dark night of the soul, and that's taken from Catholic uh, doctrines, by the way. But it just means when you start to realize that there's more to it than just eat, sleep, go to work, watch TV, go to bed kind of thing. Wait for the weekend. Can't wait for my paycheck on Friday. Monday is a drag. You know, when they start to realize there's more to it all. And because of that, it is very shocking for some people. It is very depressing. You might have some of these symptoms. I'm going to also read a little more from what I have, other than the other notes. So, yeah, you might be having a lot of just pain, just like shock. You know, when people go into shock, they just like, I just can't anymore, you know, and then, yeah, you start to realize that life is monotonous and meaningless, or at least you start to think that. And then with that awareness, you start to realize, well, then what is my purpose in life? And you start to see or notice that maybe you don't have one. Maybe, okay, you might not have one. And because of all of that, too, you might feel a sense of hopelessness, depression, fear, anxiety. And that's normal. Like I said, yeah, that is normal because you've grown up to this point in your life believing that the world is a certain way and it might not be that way. And there are some things that you're just going to have to, I don't want to say deal with, but navigate through. So yeah, things like the pandemic, that's the painful thing. You may have lost your job because of it. You may had decided, I'm quitting my job. Maybe you got broken up with. Maybe you decided you needed to break up. Maybe you needed to move across country, just, just pack up and leave. That I know people who are straight up leaving the United States altogether. So it is a thing. Okay. So once you start to feel that pain and you start to think that, I need to shake things up. And yeah, that's your soul, it's your spirit feeling restless. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's no different than if you put your hand on a stove, you felt the heat and you moved your hand away. You need that. Otherwise, your hand is going to burn off. You need that stimulus to motivate or trigger you into realizing something must be done. But feeling these feelings, at least temporarily, feeling hopeless and life is meaningless, it is temporary, but you definitely have to act and not dwell in it. Okay, because there's so much more beyond, and it's wonderful. It really is. So once you start to feel like there's more to this world, you do start to ask yourself, well, what is the meaning? Who has the answers? You know, um, you also care less about the latest fashions or labels on your body. I mean, I'm gonna go on my soapbox for a little bit. I've never, uh, my background is that I kind of never got into those kinds of things, caring about what other people think of me. Um, so I kind of don't necessarily know what that is like to have peers judge you and persecute you, because so early on in my life, I kind of had that and I kind of was like dismissed it. So by the time I was able to buy my own clothes and live my own life, I didn't really care. I was like, I don't want to, do all those kind of things. So, but if you are coming to this point where, you don't care about the latest, whatever, or there's nothing wrong with you. Okay. There really isn't. Okay? You will start to become what I like to call a seeker. And that's wonderful. As a teacher, I love it. So yeah, you'll become a seeker. And this is also kind of where a lot of people get confused. So this is where the questions start coming up. The questions of, well, am I doing this right? Yes, you are. You're okay. So one of the first questions that people ask is, am I being spiritual? Well, how do I start being spiritual? And that's easy. You are. You're already spiritual. You just need to be aware of it. And that's why when people talk about spirituality, they talk about consciousness. I guess sometimes people call it being woke, being aware, basically just paying attention, thinking about all that is around you, just being aware. That's what being spiritual is. Okay. Yeah, and you become a seeker, like I said before, where you want to understand or have a language or have the words and vocabulary enough to be able to talk about it and express it for yourself. And then a lot of people do ask things like, oh, do I need any special materials like candles or stones or water or whatever? Basically, no, because there's a lot of perspectives in this earth, on this earth. And there are people who study, scientifically with like beakers and electrodes and stuff. And then there's some people who live out nature. And there's some people who collect stones and shells, some people who adore plants. There is no one way to do this. And that's another reason why I'm sure a lot of people do get confused. There's just no one way. It's on what is drawn to you. And I'll be saying that often. What are you drawn to? And ideally, when you start to have a spiritual perspective, you just start noticing things without judgment, without placing some kind of explanation on top of something. And this does get confusing for a lot of people because, yeah, there's a lot of spiritual people who they want to debate about this type of spirituality versus this type of spirituality. This has been looking for the word colonized by others, and that's the 3D realm of it all. And I wish I can explain more of that, but that would just lead more into a tangent. But I definitely want to make sure I cover as much as possible before trying to go into deeper realms. Just know that when you're spiritual, you notice without judgment. Okay, you just notice things. And maybe you have a curiosity. Yeah. So this also is a question a lot of people ask a lot. How do I meditate? Meditation is a way to communicate with that spirit realm and with yourself. There's too many times that we have the outside world giving us stimulation and giving us messages and telling us what to think and how to feel. And again, this is where this may be new to a lot of people, where you are not used to learning to interpret for yourself. The bigger element of being spiritual is realizing that all of the answers are within you. Whether you have ancestors that you ask, or angels, or God, or higher beings, they are all you. They are all reflections of you. Energy, spirit is all this, okay? It's all of it. So when you meditate, all you're doing is calming your body and your mind to receive what's already there, all that you need, all that you wonder about. So there are different ways to meditate. There are different styles of meditation, but what all of them do is find a way for you in your physical 3D body to calm, and your brain to calm, so that you can receive. And that will take practice. If you've never done it before, maybe your mind will start thinking about things like, oh, I wonder where my next, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to be random, but yeah. So sometimes when people meditate, they think that they got it. When people say focus, it is focusing, but it's not focusing. It's releasing, letting go, letting your mind free, turning your body down, hopefully switching your brain off, letting your mind be free. And notice I said brain and mind. Those are two different things. Again, that's something we can get into at a later time. So when your mind and brain and body are calm, things come to you. That is the everything that is coming. And that is when you are meditating. So people can lie their bodies down to meditate, sit in a chair to meditate. Yoga, the original form of yoga, is a form of meditation. It is now turned into a sport, sadly. But there are other things that people can do. Breath work. There's a couple other things. There's self-hypnosis, basically. I mean, you know, there's different ways to do these things. And what you are going to always try to remember that it is a practice, just like doctors and lawyers and teachers practice their craft. You as a seeker will always practice. Some days you might not get it when it comes to meditating because your body is too anxious, and then you've got to address those things. You just can't. Sometimes you just can't. Your body won't let you. Sometimes it will come out of nowhere. Sometimes people think daydreaming, and it is, I believe, I'm one of those people who also believe that daydreaming is a form of meditation. So if you are a person that daydreams, you're already there. You just need to hone it. Okay, get it in there. You can do it. It's awesome. It's wonderful. You can do it. All right. So you're just training that spiritual self like it's there. You just need to practice doing it, you know, and it takes a little time depending. Okay. And there's different methods out there. So maybe the method that you're trying might not be the method for you. Okay. So again, we can go over forms of meditation at a later time. Are there any questions in the chat? Looking. Let's see. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Okay. So everybody's okay so far? Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. Wonderful. All right. So let's keep going. Now, this is something when I started the life coaching practice part of this is where I had to make sure I drew some lines, because some people are confusing inner work with therapy, and they're not the same. First of all, I'm not a doctor. I'm not in the medical field, so I cannot give you medical treatment. I cannot say you are a blank, blank, blank from the psychology world. I can't, I'm not even naming anything because I don't want anybody to get confused about that. Okay. As a life coach, I can help you with your inner work, but your inner work is your work. I can help guide you and do things like journaling, talking it out, different perspective exercises. So I can help you with that, and I can help you with accountability as a life coach. So inner work and shadow work. So this is when you deeply reflect within yourself the parts that you normally would just hide from the world. You'd be surprised. A lot of us do that. We pretend like we don't have faults, or the faults that we do have, we just try to, make excuses for them. When really, in the end, if you want to grow, you're going to have to face your demons, as they say. Face your demons, the shadow, that's the shadow work. And not, I don't want to say conquer them, but be friends with them. Okay. People also call this the hero's journey. I was trying to think of what other things people call it, but yeah, inner work, shadow work, self-discovery, a hero's journey. So all of those things are that, where you start really looking at yourself, and not with, again, this is not with judgment, because remember, you want to gain understanding. You want to gain understanding with this all. It's not about blaming anybody. It's not about blaming yourself. It's not about punishing yourself. This is about, okay, I do these things. Maybe I don't want to do these things anymore, or maybe I'm okay with doing these things, or maybe I need to adjust these things when I'm angry, when I'm sad. Maybe I need to, try a different way. So this is where you get to learn who you are in that regard. Okay. And so the purpose of the inner work and shadow work is for you to continue to grow and to develop emotionally, psychologically, interpersonally, spiritually, and creatively. It is to tend to the wounds of the past, which are an inevitable result of living and loving and seeking to heal from them. So we all have trauma. Okay, I've said this before. We all have trauma. So when somebody comes up to you and say, well, I have traumatic, it's like we all have trauma. I can go over that again at a later date, but we all have trauma, and it's all in how we've learned to deal with that trauma over the years that's made us who we are today. And then when it's time to do that inner work, that shadow work, you go back and you examine that. And then you try to heal or work to heal. Okay. Ideally, like I said before, it's not about blaming. It's about having self-acceptance, self-love, and healthy self-esteem. This is not about like, well, I'm going to be super skinny now. And well, maybe you're okay being overweight. Maybe you're okay with getting older and having gray hair. Okay. Maybe you're okay with having a deformity that other people tend to tell you, oh, you need to go to the plastic surgeon. You know, I used to have horrible scars. Okay. Growing up. And now I'm going into I feel like I've healed that, or maybe I haven't. I don't know. So when I was younger, yeah, I had really horrible scars, really bad acne from the age of 9, y'all. Okay, 9 years old. So you can imagine the trauma and the ridicule I may have gone through in those early years, all the way up until I don't know, maybe it was until I was in my 20s. Yeah. And people just coming up to me randomly, old women saying, oh, you should do this and do that. And you're like, oh, so it's almost like they want to be helpful, but as a kid, you take it a certain way. So yeah, so you learn to accept, or maybe you want to change it. It's up to you, but you come to an understanding of yourself with inner work, with shadow work. You come to an understanding. And yeah, journaling is one of the best ways to do it. And again, you can do it with a life coach, but sometimes your life coach will also say, where's your journal? Get your journal out and let's get to work. All right. Okay. So yeah. Now this one kind of, there is no such thing as a silly question, because there are people in the Western world who are going on this thing about the food that you eat. Now, I will say yes, but then there's a caveat to this, okay? Now, it is tricky because what you may have heard is a lot of people say things like, don't eat meat, be a vegan, all life has, purpose and meaning. And look, I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking anybody's dietary choice. However, what thing I have learned in my own spiritual journey is that not everybody's body's composition can take the same things. Like one thing, for example, that most people already know, like there's people who are lactose intolerant, right? We know this. We've been knowing this for some decades now at this point. So if your body can't tolerate milk, dairy milk, cow milk, then, there's that, okay? But then now there's the whole gluten thing. That's, again, I can go into some things on that, the gluten thing, but there are things that people who are legitly allergic to that their body cannot consume. And then there's some things that their bodies are better suited to consume. My best advice for that is to get a gut biome test and see what it is that you cannot consume, see what foods, I want to, what is best for, I guess, where your DNA mostly originated, consumed in ancient times. There are tests out there that'll tell you, like, were you hunter-gatherer, were you, did you farm a little bit, that kind of thing. So I would say definitely get blood work done. There's places that'll do allergy and food tests for you, more gut biomes where you can send away. Learn your physical body as much as possible so that you can eat mindfully. Now, this is what I say. Again, not a doctor. You want to eat mindfully. I practice fasting. I've fasted. I've been a faster officially 7 years, 8 years now. I don't know. 2015-ish, 2016. Yeah, I don't know. So practicing fasting, me eating mindfully, knowing what foods are best for my body to function at. Nobody should ever like feel as though you're sluggish after eating. You should be, I would like to hope, a little bit energized and feeling nourished after eating, feeling nourished rather than not. Okay. So eat foods that complement the nourishment of your body. There are people, and again, let me go back to the whole veganism, vegetarianism thing. There are tribes still in this world that eat meat, and they are spiritual. Okay. They eat animals. They thank the animal, they bless the animal, they embody that animal, again, spiritually, to ingest the animal. So that's why I can't say don't eat meat. It's up to what your calling is, what your body is best suited for. Okay, there's that. Now, this is a question. It's an interesting question. I like this. So people are starting to notice vibrations or vibes. I love to say vibe all the time. It's like, you're on my vibe, babe. But anyway, so people now understand that in order to, I guess, be more spiritual, that you are vibrating at a certain point. And now I found this graph. I hope you can see it, all of it. This is from, oh goodness, David Hawkins. Sorry, I have to move myself. I don't know if that's going to show up or not. And so I picked up this chart. So I want you to see the color aspect of this. And I'm surprised nobody asked me about chakras. That was one of the first questions I had when I was like really being more active in the spiritual world. I was like, what are chakras? Okay, so anyway, so nobody asked me about chakras the other day for me to put this together, but the way that this is color coordinated though, it is very much lined up with the chakras. And these numbers over here are the vibrations. So food also functions on this, food and water, plants and animals have vibrations. We all have vibrations anyway. So, and so when we are feeling these emotions, we're low vibing. And as most people are now putting that into their vocabulary, you're low vibe, right? Feeling shame, guilt, apathy, that means you don't care. Grief, fear, some desire, but on the bad end, the greed, like you can't get enough, anger and pride. So you're starting to feel, and a lot of these are ego too, by the way. But anyway, we won't go too deep into that. But these are the lower vibrational emotions. And if you are feeling guilty, shame, like, or grief, or I don't care, doing things, activities to raise your vibration will help. If you're feeling fear, insatiable greed, anger or pride, again, doing one of these things, and there are others, but these are some basic things that are free that you can do. Okay, not to say, I am not saying that to raise your vibration, you got to pay money, but these are some things that, you know, you can start doing right now. So things like being grateful. I know some people will say to you things like, I'm just going to put a scenario out there. Let's say your goldfish died and you've had that goldfish for 10 years. Hey, I know somebody who's actually had a goldfish for 10 years, like those big ones. But anyway, so if your goldfish died and you're telling one of your friends about it, and they're like, well, you know, just feel grateful for the moments you had. I know that sounds empty at first, but if you really reflect on that, you can think about all the fun times, like when you went shopping for your goldfish, or you cleaned your goldfish tank out and flopped out, and your cat was like, "Ugh," and you were like, oh my gosh, that was so funny, you know? So feeling, I'm not saying don't feel these feelings. These are messages, by the way. So, and that could be for another teaching on why these feelings are important, or you can just check out my free content on my YouTube. So having a gratitude practice, really noticing, again, paying attention, noticing these things in your life that you have that you might not have otherwise. With every one thing, and this is what I tell the little children, the little ones, especially last school year, with every one thing that you think you have, there's somebody that doesn't have it at all. So when you say you have a nice pair of shoes, there's another child out there in the world that does not have a nice pair of shoes. If there's a child that, if you say, oh, I've got all of my family living at my house with me, there's another child somewhere in the world that does not have their family living with them, and they want that badly. There's, you know, with every child that says, I get to eat whatever I want for dinner, there's some child somewhere that doesn't get a chance to eat dinner tonight. So again, you know, practicing that gratitude practice is helpful, and it's a start. Then these are the fun things I like to do. Play, frolic, create freely, okay? So when I say play, I don't mean video games, okay? That's not what I mean. I mean, and I don't mean watching the screen either. So I mean literally getting out there, mixing it up in the world and enjoying it. And again, as a teacher, I love to go play with the kids. Sometimes I'll go kick a ball with them. They want to play tag with me, and I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, and play tag with them. So it's awesome. It's fun. So getting back into that childlikeness is awesome. See, I can't even stop smiling thinking about it. So playing is awesome. Frolicking, I do that a lot. Going around. Some people call it hiking or whatever. You can go out into nature. Go out into nature, enjoy nature. Have a picnic. Go to the park. Go walking. Enjoy the scene. Okay. Enjoy the greenery. Go lay out in the sun. Okay. Go take a moon walk. I do that too. Listen to the cicadas on a summer night. Okay. It's awesome. Beautiful. Sit and chill. Okay. Just enjoy the universe, the sky. Create freely. Now I put the word freely there for a reason, because again, we do have people sometimes they'll say, I want to get into drawing, but I don't know how to do it right. This is not about you trying to be a certain thing. It's about you opening up your sense of, and this is the green thing, courage. Okay. Just do it without judgment. You don't have to show anybody, just do it. And if you are having some anxiety around it, again, that's where your inner work comes into play. And you ask yourself, well, why are you having such a hard time doing this, even for yourself? That's where you start doing your inner work. Yeah. You start living your everyday life, or you start trying to raise your vibration and you're having a hard time doing it and you're struggling. Then you ask yourself inner work questions. Listening to music, dance. Now, I don't like saying don't, but I when people ask about the vibration, raising your vibration, this is where it gets, again, tricky for the music part of it. So I would prefer my clients and my students to listen to nonverbal music. Music like what's playing right now. I hope you enjoy this. Okay. So music that without any words, without any singing, only because the lyrics in some music might not be high vibrational. Okay. There's my cat. Sorry. So some lyrics, let's just be honest. If you had a chance to look at a song, and me as a musician, I look at lyrics all the time. Okay. And so what you thought was like a peppy song because it was in a major key is actually pretty depressing. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so depressing. And that's going into you. Okay. That's going into you. So I would say to really think about what kind of music you're listening to when you are looking to raise your vibration. I prefer any kind of dance music because I also love to dance. Middle Eastern dance, some salsa. I can do a little salsa. But yeah, so anything that doesn't necessarily have any singing. So if you want to get into that beat, get into it, baby. Okay. African, like drumming, any of it, you know? So dancing will raise your vibration. So I love dancing. I love it. Okay. I really do. And then helping others in need. And that, I wish more people would talk about that more. People talk about it in the abundance part of being spiritual. So they're saying things like, give knowing that you're abundant. Wishing someone well doesn't take away from your well-wishing. So this is just in general. So you can say, have a nice day, and really mean it without it being a curse. Sometimes people say, be blessed, and they're actually not meaning that. They don't mean it. And that makes me sad when they do that, when people say that in a way that is not actually blessed. Okay. So yeah, just wish people well. That's not taken away from your wish well, you know? And the universe, I keep saying this, is just abundant. We are living inside of an explosion, y'all. There's so much for us, so much that you have no idea that there's more than enough for all of us. And so you wishing somebody else, looking at somebody's outfit, girl, you look cute today. Or, oh, I really like your shoes today. Oh, you have a wonderful smile, a compliment. Something as simple as that. Or just smiling at somebody, okay? To say hello, to acknowledge their presence. And then, you know, help as much as you can within boundaries. And again, there's a lot of people who are coming into the spiritual world, and they're voicing concerns about boundaries. Yes, most definitely observe your boundaries, but set your boundaries with yourself. And that's a whole nother teaching too. So always be mindful of your own personal boundaries and honor them. Okay. So yeah, so this is a little way of raising your vibration. You want to be able to just be brave. And this is what I tell the kids. Being brave is knowing that you are having some fear. Maybe you want something, but you're still going to do it anyway. I wish I had my magic pointing. Let me see if I can get it out. See, this, I learned how to do Zoom when the shutdowns went down, y'all. So I'm pretty Zoom savvy. So yeah, so when you're feeling, you know, fear, you know what it takes to go to where you need to go in life, and you just go for it. You know, I'm just going to do it. Take it step by step. Be kind to yourself, drink water, you know, just keep on keeping on. Okay, there's that. All right. Now, this is where I know a lot of people they ask this, but they don't ask this. Some people actually do ask, so how do I know I'm spiritual now? Well, you will start to feel certain things. And I think this is where a lot of people tend to rush, and they think that this is like a stepwise kind of thing, and it's kind of not. Sometimes you can revert back. Sometimes you might have setbacks. That's what life is, quite honestly. So you know, but when you do find yourself growing spiritually, you'll start to feel what is called post-traumatic growth. And that's where you might just completely zone out on seeing a flower. And you're just like, whoa, oh my gosh, that's how beautiful that flower is. You know, and you start to realize how powerful you are, that you are the drop and you are the ocean. Sorry. That you're the drop and you are the ocean. You are the spark and you are the flame. You are all of it. And nothing is impossible. And you'll definitely start to feel that personal strength. Relating to others, like I said, like being able to connect with people and see, like even feel sorry, like having that compassion, empathic feeling. But I'll talk about that, the be careful part of it, but you'll start to understand people better, that we all just want to be happy, you know? So we all just want to be happy, and nobody's waking up saying, I'm just going to go out and just be evil to you randomly. Now, of course, there may be some people out there doing stuff to you, but for the general part of it all, nobody's really sitting out. Like, that's too much work, you know? And sadly, that's one thing I have realized in the personal development world. You got to do some work, a lot of deep work. And most people are not in the personal development field. They are not, they might read self-help books and that's as far as it goes. They might pass out memes, but that's as far as it goes. Like nobody's, really that set on doing evil to another person, and unless they truly are evil. So, but everyday people, you have nothing to worry about. So you appreciate the little things in life. Like I said, looking at a flower, looking at a little baby smiling, seeing a little worm. You're like, oh, look at that little worm. So you really start to just look at things and be like, wow, that's so cool. Looking at the clouds in the sky, looking at the stars. Possibilities start opening up for you, because this is where the law of attraction comes in. That a lot of people, again, this is going out there on the interwebs a lot lately, or at least, I don't know, I'm finally paying attention to it, to some people, but new possibilities start opening up to you once you start to grow and be more appreciative to life and relating to other people. Spiritual changes, as in you start to notice more, you start to understand more. You don't need other people to tell you what is coming to you, because the messages are there. You won't need an interpreter as much. Now, no, there's nothing wrong with readers and things like that, but you don't want to get caught up in the whole, most people did leave a practiced religion to become spiritual, but you don't want to turn that spirituality practice back into something where you're looking for somebody to tell you what to do and what to think. You are powerful. That's what I'm saying. That back to the personal strength. You start to realize your true power. And so you start to have stronger intuition, you become better at manifesting. Your intuition. I can give you a story. I was in a class with someone that I barely talked to from week to week. And, I would acknowledge them and be like, well, whatever. Didn't know him very well. And then one day I was sitting next to him, and then something just came over me. And it was just like, it felt like a wave. And I knew something was wrong and I couldn't put it quite into words. All I, you know, and like I said, I didn't really talk to him very much, if at all. I would say things like hello, you know, goodbye, that kind of thing. And sitting next to him, it was almost like I had this obligation to say something because something was wrong and I couldn't quite understand what it was. But I told him, I was like, you need to see a doctor. Something is wrong. And I mean, I know that it was like, I was shocked because like I said, it happened, let's see. Yeah, it happened not too, like a few years ago. So yeah, so it's like, it came over me to say it. And I was like, you need to see a doctor. You need to go see a doctor. Something is going on with you. And I think he was like, you know, because maybe he was feeling something and I don't know, maybe he winced or something. I don't know. But it was like this thing that came over me and it settled down into my stomach. It was so overwhelming and powerful that I had to say something. And I did say something to him. And he did go see the doctor. And he turned out he was not overweight, first of all, before I say anything. He was pre-diabetic. His numbers were down to be like diabetic. And yeah, that just meant that his body wasn't processing insulin well, if at all, right? So if I had not said anything, and he probably was feeling the symptoms of, like, you know, being pre-diabetic, but ignoring it. But somehow I picked up on it. And I told him, I was like, look, you need to go see somebody. So sometimes we ignore ourselves. And that's, again, back to the meditating aspect of being spiritual. You got to pay attention to your body. Okay. And then you might be more perceptive to other people's bodies and what's going on with them too. You got to be careful though. So now this is where I'm you know, gonna say you got to have some discernment here. You will become more compassionate towards other people. So something happened to my yard, even though I keep bringing it up. I'm laughing because I still need to work on it. But I've come to the other side of understanding and feeling sorry for the other party. I'll just say that. Okay. And yeah, you start to not take things as seriously. You might see now, for example, before Bishop Tutu passed, he was a very jovial, playful man. If you watch videos of him, the Dalai Lama is very much the same. They were the best of friends, by the way. So to me, they embody what it is to be spiritual, not your local preacher down the street, unless your local preacher down the street is like that. Not taking things, you know, it's like, yes, we do have tragedy. Yes, we do have bad things that happen. But there's a bigger understanding that we're working towards. Okay. And all is coming to its best possible conclusion in that. So yeah, but you do have to have some discernment. So one other thing I have started to notice now that I am engaging more with more people, that they are running into people who are scammers, I guess. I've never had, like, me as a spiritual person, I guess, I don't know, maybe again, my vibe just doesn't attract those people or whatever. So I don't look for other people to tell me about me when I'm doing my inner work. I'm doing it. I'm doing that work. You know, yeah, people play around with astrology a little bit, and there deeper aspects to astrology than a lot of people realize. And you know, it is becoming a little bit more mainstream, but there's so much more to it than, you know, a lot of people are still treating it surface level, but there's more to it. But anyway, please have some discernment, mindful discernment. Okay. There, again, the more that you do your inner work and you meditate and you really embody self-reflection, you will know. Looking for other people to tell you what to do opens you up to unsavory things. Okay. So you are your own power source, is what you will start to realize when you have your post-traumatic growth. You won't need a reader. It might be helpful to have like somebody who has studied a little more, you know, books and things like that. But other than that, you will find your way. Okay. You will find your way. We still live in the, as I wrote here, a mundane world where there are people out there looking to hustle, but you can forgive them too, because they, you know, they think that that's the best way to make a living. Yeah. So this is also tricky. This is where I think, you know, it's based on what you're ready for. Because I can name you some books, but even when I started reading certain books, they were over my head. I wasn't there. I wasn't ready. So sometimes you can't just read a book and it's the thing. Like, you really do. This is a study of yourself. This is so deep. Like, it's, yeah. The best way I can say is, like, you know, read what is being called towards you. When you start hearing certain words, like, you know, talk about chakras, vibrations, metaphysics, yeah, just start reading books. Start reading them. Now, what I put up here on the screen are some suggestions, books that I know I've read in the past and still read and study. Because yes, when I say read a book, it's not a one and done. You study it. Okay, so I'm gonna show you. I put a cover on this. This is my copy of the Kabbalion. The reason why I cover it is because I don't, when I'm reading it and I'm out in public and I'm reading it, say if I'm like in the park or something, I don't really want to talk to other people about why I'm reading this and what it is. Like, I want to study in my book. Okay. So it's also, seekers look for information because they really want to know it. One thing, again, I have learned over the years is that not everybody wants to know. Like, they might ask questions, but they don't really want to know. If you are waiting for somebody, again, back to how religion is, if you're waiting for somebody to tell you everything, what to do, you might not be ready for your spiritual journey. Okay. You've got to be ready to buckle in and go for it. Okay. So yes, I've read the Kabbalion. I continue to read the Kabbalion because it's so much going on in there. I can also recommend the Emerald Tablet. If you are from a Christian background and you might need some ways to, you know, cycle out of it, or you can still be Christian. That comes in my next slide. But Neville Goddard, this gentleman, he's without his mustache. Normally he's in a picture with a mustache on, but with the orange background, that is Neville Goddard. He used to be a dancer and he got a spiritual awakening, and he had a spiritual teacher named Abdullah in the, I want to say the 20s and 30s and 40s. And so he learned through reading the Bible itself. And people have misinterpret the Bible so much. It's kind of sad. But anyway, but the teachings of Neville Goddard, he's written a few books out there. There's tons of lectures out there. There's some on my YouTube channel that you can explore. And if you are still from the understanding of the Christian world, this might be a good way to step into spirituality through him. There's Joseph Murphy here, this book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind, because you'll be working a lot in the subconscious mind. You'll be battling blocks from your conscious mind and from the world around you about how the world operates, and how you already realize that that's not how the world operates, but they still want you to believe that that's how the world operates. So you're going to need some help from, authors like Joseph Murphy and Neville Goddard. Okay. Now, this book, The Secret, is also a movie that you can watch. It's very, very fluffy and very introductory. They have a lot of the contemporary personal development leaders in it now. Oprah Winfrey, when Oprah had her show on network TV and she introduced that, oh my gosh, that was like the thing, right? So I don't think she would ever say this out loud, but I think Oprah practices The Secret. I think she does. And yeah, so there's a lot of, people in that movie that you can also look to their work also. It's super helpful. Let's see, there is Bob Proctor. He just passed this year. But he was an amazing speaker and worker in that world. John Assaraf. Yep. He's also pretty cool. Like, he kind of brings, I don't want to say practicality. So it's more personal development out of the spiritualness. It's there. Now, look, the reason why I know it's there is because I've read a lot of these other books, so that when John Assaraf or Bob Proctor is saying certain things, I'm like, they read this book already. They read the ancient text. Okay. So yeah. So maybe if you haven't read The Secret or seen the movie The Secret, that might be a good way to start off. And then there's another movie that I like. It's called What the Bleep Do We Know? And that's definitely more metaphysical and spiritual too. So that's a great one too. But yeah, so there's so many books out there. So I would say get to work. Get on it, because there's a lot. I can't just say one particular book. And it just depends on what you're ready for too. Like I said, you might not be ready for the Kybalion, because that's a lot. You might be more ready for The Secret. If you're from the Christian world, you might be okay with a lot of Neville Goddard things. If you feel like you're super nerdy smart or not, maybe Joseph Murphy and a few other thought leaders can be helpful too with that. Yeah, so there you go. Now, before we end this, thank you so much for staying. There are some final questions that some people do tend to ask, and I'll answer them. All right. Can I still practice my religion? Yes. So religion, to me, is basically a set of practices and traditions and celebrations. A lot of spiritual people still do practice religion. I know this one lady in particular, her husband is a priest, is a minister. Okay. and she's spiritual. She's a Reiki healer. Okay. So yes, you can still practice your religion if you want. Some people, you know, depending on their background, might not want to, but we're, you know, I'm not in the business of knocking what anybody wants to do. You can do what you want. Okay. You can still practice your religion. Yes. And then the big ones. What is manifesting? We hear that word a lot in the religion world too, often, especially in Christianity. You hear it a lot in ancient text, because again, I listen to the Kabbalion, read the Kabbalion, study it a lot. They say the word manifest a lot. Emerald tablets, the Hermeticums, you know, all that good stuff. But anyway, manifesting is bringing your thoughts, your ideas, your desires into the world of the five senses. For example, if I said, I want to make a dress. Dress is in my desire. It came out of my brain, out of my mind. I want a dress. Then I must go through a process to make that dress come into the five senses 3D world. That's manifesting. That's all manifesting is. So it's not some hocus pocus, mumbo jumbo that people keep saying or thinking that it is. It really is just a process. It's just a process of getting things from your mind into the world. Okay, that's all it is. And I also have a free guide. Again, if you're interested, it's available. Pick up. Now, how you manifest depends on your feelings and your efforts. Like I said, you got to, you know, put some things into play. So your feelings, like if, again, back to my example of a dress. It's like, if I want to make a dress and I'm feeling like, I don't know how to make a dress, and what kind of, you know, people will laugh at me. What if this dress splits in two? And, you know, so I'm having some anxiety about that. So that might hinder me making a dress, right? Because I'm telling myself, you can't do it before I even started. I can't even get to the efforts part because of my feelings got in the way. Or I can make it work in my favor. Oh, this is going to be a wonderful adventure, learning how to make a dress. I'm going to get to learn about fabrics and thread and how to sew and how to cut patterns. Oh, this is going to be amazing. So having that wonderment, that's a feeling that's going to energize you into the process of making that dress. See, there you go, manifesting. And then one question, how do I heal? That's up to you. Some people, when they set into this spiritual journey, they want to heal and they want to heal quickly, but sometimes that might not be quickly because of, like I said, blocks that we might have. You might have desires for things, but then again, you still might have blocks. You might need to go to therapy. Again, I'm not a therapist. Now, your spiritual guides can help you, but maybe once you determine, you know, that you might need more than just that, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, needing, you know, a therapist or an accountability person to do that work. It's up to you. Sometimes we have to learn to let go to heal. And sometimes we want to hold on and blame and think to point out and have power when really we just need to let go. Okay. So I've been checking in. I didn't see any questions. Let me check one more time. I'm going to stop the share So that's my presentation on the beginnings of how to start your spiritual journey. And stop that share. Hope I don't stop the video. Okay, there we go. Let me check the chat. I don't see any questions. Okay. Well, I do want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for, taking the moment to really look at this, study this. Maybe you need to go back over certain parts. I try to go as slow as possible within a reasonable amount of time to be able to have these concepts to begin to sink in. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me in the group. Okay. I think I'm gonna have a new group. Yeah. I want to have just a manifesting group and not necessarily a spiritual group. Because manifesting is where your spirituality is activated, in my opinion. So, and then that's also where you get a chance to see, well, maybe I have some blocks about why can't I make this dress? Why do I feel like I can't make this dress or whatever? So with that, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful journey as you journey. I still, like I said, I still study. I journal a lot. I do life book. I call it life booking. Let me show you my book. It is a combination of journaling and a vision board. And there's still some things. Like I purposely, I find things that I want to put into it, my vision book, my life book thing. And then I hold off on it because I want to journal at, very specific times. Like I'm a moon person too. Oh, I also have some moon freebies too, by the way. So check in with me on that. So yeah, so I've shown this before, my life book. The pictures. So it's a journal, leather bound, nice. I take this with me when I'm frolicking, raising my vibration out there. Okay. So yeah, that's what I do. I read, to study. I practice my meditations in the mornings. I listen to podcasts, stuff like that. I, observe the beauty in the world and laugh, biohack, all these things. But anyway, I want you to feel free to ask questions, okay? No question is a dumb question. Might be complicated, but there's no dumb questions out there, okay? All right, take care. Bye.